in the magic of Afrolatinidad. Yeah, people. De lo mío, sí. Claro que sí. Well, it's time 2:02. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to this session. We are so happy to have you here. And I believe one of the best sessions of the day, talking about the Afro-Latinidad with wonderful people here. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jocelyn Gonzalez Mendez. I am currently the San Francisco chapter director for the Techqueria, and I am here with great, amazing people. I have Angie, Rachel, and Noel, and they will introduce themselves. They will say their name, where they work, where they're from, and why are they here. And I will just give it to Rachel to start with.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Rachel. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I work for a company called We Can Code It. We're a coding boot camp. We have campuses in Cleveland and in Columbus. I am the finance account manager, and I'm here because I just want to celebrate the magic of Afrolatinidad, just share a little bit about my history and my background. So I hope you guys are excited to talk with us today. Angie, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Oh, I'm getting really bad feedback.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. I'm muting y'all. Okay.
Oh, you're
hey,
fine.
everyone. What's up, my beautiful people out there? My name is Angie Calderon. I'm a talent specialist at Figma. I am Black and Mexican, born and raised in Southeast San Diego. So shout out to all my 619 people out there. And I'm currently living in Oakland. And I'm just so happy to be here with this amazing group of young professionals because honestly, we just vibe all together. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Noel.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Noel Claudio. I am from Philadelphia, originally from Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. So shout out to anyone over there, Caribbean, Philly. I'm excited to be here. Afro-Latinidad is an exciting topic for me, just given the history of humanity, the connection to Africa and Latin America. So I'm excited to get this started.
Yeah, thank you very much for your wonderful introductions. And I must say, I'm from Venezuela. Hey, Venezuela, Latin America in the house.
Yeah, I didn't mention I'm Black and Puerto Rican as well, so.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, Boricua in the chat.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Hey.
And Philadelphia, Oakland. And I'm here because as you all here in this panel, we identify as Afro-Latinx. And as you can see, can come in many different ways, colors, shapes, and we want to start talking about that, about defining what is Afro-Latinidad to us, to us that live with it every single day and have to dig into the definitions because in this country it's I guess needed. So I'll go with Noel. Noel, what is Afro-Latinidad for you?
Honestly, to start this entire conversation, I think it's important to just know where that term comes from. And the term Afro-Latinidad, Afro-Latino, Afro-Latinx, etc., is really like a nod and homage to Africa and its role within humanity, its role within a lot of how we came to be. So Latinos and Latinas, Hispanic people all around the world, right, come in all different shades of color. But we always wonder, it doesn't matter where you're from. You have people that come that are as light, they're white, right? And you have people who are dark-skinned Latinos that look Black, but they're Latinos. And it's a melting pot of different people. So the term actually comes from the fact that back in the transatlantic slave trade, there was a bunch of slaves, right? Not just in America, because people get that confused a lot. People brought all over the world. And in the Caribbean, in Latin America, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and a lot of people forget how that has played a role as well within each and every one of us, regardless of where we come from. So for me personally, it's to remember that when I go home to Dominican Republic and I see my family members over there who I know very well, if they were living in America, would be considered Black, and I talk to them and I know the struggles that they would have and face in America, that to me is important because we often forget that as Latinos and Latinas. So that's what it means to me. It's something for me in terms of remembering where I come from.
Absolutely.
And definitely. Anyone else would like to add something to that?
Noel has like the perfect definition when he
Yeah.
talks about it. So
All the time. Like, you do know well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We're a melting pot, and I always said there is no Afro Latinx itself. We are all Afro Latinx. That another one's try to like to identify it more. That's awesome. I identify as an Afro Latinx, but we are all in the same. We are all in the same pot.
Yeah.
So
it's important to understand the history, which is what he touched on. Because like you said, the slave trade didn't just happen in America, it was everywhere. So, people were, jumping off boats, they were trying to get to safety and trying to get somewhere so that they had a better life. Or they were, there was slavery all over the world. So it's important to understand how we came.
Yeah. And if we all know this, but there were more slaves that were brought to Latin America than United States. So we can all see our descendants right there. And in that same term, now that we're here, it's 2020, as 40 million years later may look like after the pandemic. Let's talk about how we compartmentalize ourselves. That's part of our struggle, right? Trying to be ourselves as much as we can and as much as we would like to. So what means to you, all of you three, compartmentalizing yourself in terms of fitting into society or different groups within society? Perhaps Angie would like to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. So it has taken me many years of just unlearning to relearn just how to love myself unapologetically and just be grounded in who I am. So in the community that I grew up in, there were just always tension and riots between the Black and Brown community. So growing up, I would always be told, like, don't act Black, don't be Black. I know this is very common for probably all of us. Mia, stay out the sun so you don't get dark. Or even just introduced as Angie, the Black cousin. So as a result to all of that, it kind of just messed up with my self-esteem and identity growing up. So for example, I would just try to light my skin, use a papaya soap, but we all know that it just makes you ashy and dry. or honestly, I just did the most just trying to prove myself to others. I'm just trying to fit in for both sides, Black and Mexican sides. But I don't do that anymore because ain't nobody got time for that. So something that we just must do is accept that there is Black in the Latinx community, and both sides obviously have their own ideas and own experiences. But when we actually come together, we pull each other up and we just stop fighting with one another. We can make some magic and we can do some powerful things out here. And on that note, I'm gonna pass it over to Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, talking about compartmentalizing your identity, I just think back to like my childhood and like I could talk about it all day, but ultimately, my mom is Black and my dad is, from Puerto Rico. So I grew up with these two amazing cultures that I got to be a part of for so long. And when it was time for me to like go to school or like fill out paperwork or do something, I always had to choose. So, am I going to put Black or am I going to put that I'm Puerto Rican? Which one do I have to choose? And so there was like this old saying, like, you put what your dad is, right? So I would put that I was Hispanic, but then I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because here's my mom dropping me off, at school and she's Black, or here's these opportunities for Black students and now I can't get them. So, just always. And then I also lived in like a very suburban, Ohio area. So there weren't people who looked like me. Like it just wasn't a thing, right? There were some Black students, some Spanish students, but there were none that were like me, mixed. So, just trying to navigate like, okay, I'm not, Spanish enough over here. I don't speak Spanish. But then I'm also like, my hair is not super curly, like, these girls over here. So I don't fit in with them either. So just trying to find where am I supposed to fit in? And it took me a long time to learn that I don't have to fit in. I don't have to find a space to kind of like stick my square peg in, right? I can just be myself and just accept who I am. I am Black and I am Puerto Rican and I'm both. And, whatever you need to do to understand that, I'm here to help you. Noel? Yeah.
Ooh, Thank you both for providing that.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I echo a lot of what both of you said, Angie and Rachel. But for me specifically, growing up, you know, I'm Puerto Rican Dominican. My mom was dark skinned, so she she came straight from DR, raised me and my brother with here in the States in Philadelphia. And one of the things I heard a lot within my families and on the streets and everything was, hey, you know, don't go hang out with the morenos, or be careful this or that. And I always startled thinking, but who are these morenos you're talking about? Because I'm pretty sure that we look just like that, like our family and where we come from, like your uncles, your aunts, and cousins and so forth. And for me, that just made me realize there's more to this, right? There's this history part. There's this celebration of culture as well that people often forget. And it's not even just it's not just all race. It's not all race and just the color of your skin. It's also like music, and where did that come from, right? And a bunch of what we listen to today and bachata, reggaeton, like a lot of that derives from African roots, and it's something that gets lost in all of this. So for me specifically, I don't worry about identifying myself one way or another. I am who I am, right? And I don't care what people profile me as. I'm understanding that I am light skinned, right? And I'm not facing the same issues as someone who is dark skinned, but I completely resonate and can relate to what that means from my own family members, my own friends and experiences. And that's the beauty of this, is that being or identifying as Afro-Latino does not mean you need to be Black or Hispanic or Black or Latino. You need to just be part of the cause, part of the movement, and want to take that forward.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I echo that. And when you were saying something about like you don't compartmentalize yourself anymore, it resounds to me because that's my story. Now, when I am 30 something years old, I'm not gonna say the something, but I don't compartmentalize myself anymore. But when I let me bring you back to my story. So my mom is Afro descendant, you could say she's Black, and my dad is from Europe, you could say he's white. And I was born in Venezuela, grew up in Venezuela, everything in Venezuela before I moved here 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And my dad told me his relatives were frown upon his marriage to my mother, saying your kids are going to be Black. And it's like, so what? So who cares, right? But then my part of compartmentalizing was when I was with my family, even though they treat me like part of the family, there was a lot of love and everything. I have to behave in a certain way, because if I will be embracing my other side of the family, it would be like, you're not acting right. And same thing in the other side of the family, you're too classy, you're too this or that, like what happens? Like, so I always have to be like in the middle. Now I know that was what happened when I was living through it. Didn't even notice. It was like my day-to-day kind of thing. But now that I embrace fully myself, that I let my curls go out, and I started thinking like, this is who I am. Like, it makes me happy. It makes me happy to accept myself. They are all about it, and they love it. But at the time in the 90s, it was different, right? So at that moment, we compartmentalize ourselves. But the way, the message we want to convey now is that we don't anymore. We are who we are, and we love ourselves that way. And that should be the same for anybody and everyone. Doesn't matter what identity, culture, ethnicity, or whatever you want to identify with. So in this term, I would like to keep it going and talk a little bit more about this compartmentalizing thing and what we don't do anymore about it. And also talk about like, when was the last time that you thought about your ethnicity? And this is a question for the people on the chat. You can put your opinion as well. Like, when was the last time you thought about your ethnicity and your identity? And we'll hit it up with Noel.
I mean, I will say like 5 minutes ago. So,
okay.
You know, again, not to bring into every, like a lot of people are saying this on the chat too. I think about this every single day because I'm just a curious person. And I know there's more that a lot of us don't know, right? We don't know what happened really like 500, 600 years ago and whatnot. We get told what we get told. We act the way that we do because of what our parents and our parents' parents and so forth tell us. And a lot of the times what gets lost in there is again, just actual, like what's factual, reading through like books and such, and understanding what does it really mean when you say, you know, in my case, you are, you know, Boricua, you're Puerto Rican, right? Or you're Dominican. Where did we come from, right? Where did that derive from? Like, what's the connection to the Taino? What's the connection to Africa? What's the connection to the Spaniards, right? Like, there's just in the Europeans, there's a ton of things. So rather than for me to think about and ponder every single day, like whether I'm this or that, or should I be this or should I be considered that, I'm gonna stay back to what I said. Like I know who I am. I love my family. I love both of the islands that I come from. And I also, this gets lost too, I consider myself, and I'm proud to be American as well. So that's another thing that's lost with this, is we live here for many of us, we work here, we have jobs in the US, and I feel like I'm part of the American culture as well.
Thank you very much, Noel. How about you, ladies?
Go ahead, Angie.
Okay, I'll go. I have to think of my ethnicity every single day, just like Noel said. I know every person of color does, especially this year. This year has been such a heavy year just for all of us. And I know we spent a lot of time just self-reflecting on where we stand in this country and just in this world. So especially when I'm traveling, I just need to do, you know, that additional research to make sure that people who look like me are accepted. Even more recently, I'm in the process of moving, and when I was looking for a new neighborhood to live in, I was like, okay, am I going to be safe in this neighborhood? Am I going to be safe in my own home? Am I going to be safe walking down the street to the corner store to go get a bag of hot Cheetos? Like after, especially after the murder of Breonna Taylor, it's just been really hard for me. 3 weeks ago, I like broke down in tears. I was crying all day, and I literally had to just sign off. I just couldn't work or do anything. So that really affected me. So absolutely every single day, we all think of our ethnicity every single day. So Rachel, you can take it off from there.
Yeah, I mean, bringing up Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, all of these people who have been affected by violence. It's exhausting to think about your identity all the time. You know, I don't get to take off my skin color when I wake up in the morning or when I go somewhere. I don't get to choose, you know, how people see me or perceive me. So it's exhausting, and I think about it all the time. But I want to say that I don't always think about it in a light of like something bad's going to happen or it's bad that I'm Black. I think about it like, yes, like I get to wake up every morning and I can be curly hair if I want to, or I can straighten my hair, and, you know, it can be long and luscious if I want it to. There are very few people who look like me. You know, I'm beautiful. Like I think about it in that term. Like I am so unique and I'm so lucky. Like I can't wait to like have babies and like, you know, just carry on this, you know, this tradition. Like I celebrate it just as much as I mourn what happens in my community.
Yes, definitely, and I feel the same way in regards to like planning, for example, like Angie mentioned, like being an immigrant, being a woman, being a person that is they have multiple cultural background. I think about it when I move. Like the first thing I saw some days ago, like Boise, Idaho is the best place to live. I was like, let me see the diversity in Idaho. Let me research.
Why is that the first thing we search? Like, how many of us are in this area?
This place, like, can I eat Latin food? Let me see the amount of Latin restaurants per area. To
how
see
close is there a Puerto Rican restaurant?
I know, and I think about it, like if I want to move away, my credit score is good, but my credit score is good, but it's not all. So like, will they consider me to give me an apartment that I can pay? Because I pay my apartment, but they it's a lot of assumptions. associated to a person who is an immigrant, who is a woman, who is from different culture, who has a name that is Jocelyn, like so Latin, like doesn't have anything else but Latin everywhere. And you think about it, like, wow, how am I gonna be perceived? Like when I want a voice, I raise my voice against something that I seem unjust, or that I seem that it could be a little bit better, I can give a feedback. I have to tone down my personality because I can be perceived as aggressive. So I have to like do my mental yoga and relax, because at the end of the day, I want my message to get to the point, right? Not to get lost on assumptions that I cannot control. I don't control what you think of me, and I do not want to, but I have to think of the way that I communicate. So it's a little bit less controversial. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I think about my identity every single time, and how I have to tone my bubbly personality a little bit down to meet everyone in the middle. And then when I go to a Latin place and dance, then I can be all 100%. With beautiful people such as you, I know that we have the opportunity to be ourselves just the way that we are. And that's what I like this event today. And I like the opportunity to be ourselves and have a space to be completely ourselves.
Yes.
So in that sense, I would like to talk a little bit about those things that we do to fit in. Some people have relaxed their hair. Some people have bleached their skin. Some people have done many other stuff. And not only as Afro-Latinx, I think we are all doing some sort of this thing to fit in, maybe on the things that are trendy right now, or that we see in social media and that we want to do. So I want to ask you, and any one of you could take the opportunity to speak about what are some of those things that you have done to fit in?
I mean, I'll go first. I've done a lot of things, so on both ends. Particularly for Spanish is like, I remember like none of my cousins speak Spanish, like none of us. Like my grandma has like 7 kids, and surprisingly all of her grandkids, none of us speak Spanish. So when I would go to high school, we would take like Spanish classes, and I would be like, yeah, I can speak Spanish. They'd be like, no, you cannot. But it just like little things like that, like just like trying to figure out where am I, like I keep talking about this, where am I supposed to fit in? You know what I mean? Like, do I have to know Spanish? Like, do I not have to know Spanish? And also on the other side of it, like trying to fit in with my Black side. So like, doing my hair in braids, or like, doing little things like that that just don't work for me.
Mine is just like relaxing and perming my hair. Obviously, I don't have none of that in it no more, But that was just like the main thing growing up. My mom, she's Mexican, so she didn't know how to, like, none of my family knew how to just do my hair. So they just permed it. And that's like the thing that I did. Like, I think it's like probably one of the most common things that people do with like more kinkier texture hairs, like perm it to try to fit in. But now it's a whole different story. Everyone wants to have our type of hair. So
yes,
I guess people are trying to fit in with us now.
Yes, absolutely.
Welcome.
I know.
There is plenty to share.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, Noah?
Oh, I just grew a beard.
That's great. That's awesome. I
used to that's a guy thing. That's not, yeah.
No, so in all seriousness, I mean, I think like the question is you can go all different angles. I want to talk like for a second though about that same along lines of how do you fit in and what are you doing to fit in when it comes to technology and the world we are today. And for me, and probably for many of us have very similar experiences, we are always the minority, and especially in technology. So a lot of the times, I refrain sometimes, and I don't do it on purpose. I love to tell people who I am, but there are certain times where I am in a professional place and I refuse to pick up a phone call from one of my family members because they're going to speak to me in Spanish. I don't want to speak in Spanish at that moment in time. I don't want someone to think something else, and just get that impression. or I stay up working twice as hard or 3 times as hard to do an assignment that can take someone else a lot easier time because I might be afraid to ask for help. And those type of things to me are just serious within the corporate world and in tech, because for many of us like me who were first generation graduate, and I'm in this career path, I'm a consultant at Slalom, and often I'm always working with clients. I'm working with clients and the clients don't look like me, right? The clients are many times, they're starting to now, by the way, so that is happening, but for the most part, there's still that gap, right? So it's something where I'm just, not that I'm afraid to be who I am, because I love who I am, but there are times when I have to put on my professional hat and I can't be as laid back as I would be with my friends, or if I was hanging out, in Puerto Rico on the beach, right? Which is a whole nother different like scene. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, that's a great point. And when you were talking about it, I was thinking, how many times I have to look, like the time I have to spend if I want to put something in social media, and I look for those little memes that I put Afro Latina just to say something like, hey, I'm here or something, and I don't find anything. Like I have to look and look and look and look for the little memes or little things, animations that you put on your social media posts, like in Instagram. And I don't find any with Afro Latinx. Now I see a little more, but not as many, not as diverse in terms of the representation on technology, right? When I want to put something that kind of, I feel like it represents me.
I have this.
Yay! Puerto Rico. Wait, that's all Latin America or Africa?
No, I think this is Africa, right? And then
Africa. Yeah.
And it's got the Puerto Rican flag. So I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we all have to do many, many things to fit in, from physical to mental to personal. But the main thing is here, accept yourself, own yourself. Mm-hmm. And, even with the little things, start a meeting and saying hola or hi or whatever you want to say, like just be okay with being okay. Yeah. Be okay with being yourself. And in that sense, we will just like to be a little bit open, right? And talk about like those crossing points that we have. At the beginning of the conversation, we talk about how sometimes we don't see Latinx and we don't think about Afro-Latinos or Afro-Latinas or Afro-Latinx. And we just want to say, at least I would like to say, that we are, in my opinion, we're all Latinx are Afro-Latinx, and we're all also indigenous, and we are also Caucasian from Europe or whatever, and Arabic and Asian, and all the ethnicities or cultures that you want to name in once. So I would like to talk a little bit more about those moments when you felt that your background was actually a plus in the community, when you have been the source of like connection between two different groups. Mm-hmm. That have happened to you. For example, for me, I'm the connection with my family. So because they met me, they met my family after my mother got married with my dad, then the stereotype about Black people kind of fade away. It took a while, but it faded away. Do you have seen that happening to you in your professional background, with your friends, in your family? Has improved? Maybe Angie, want to go?
Okay, can you repeat this? Can you redo this? Because I'm like,
this is not on the list.
Yeah. Pardon my English.
No. We have some good questions in the chat too. We should save a little bit of time for them.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if I find one. Then someone wants to put something on the chat. I give you
a really good question. I'm looking. If you guys want to go with, she said, how do you defend or address your Afro-Latinidad when there are other people who are the same country that don't identify the same way that you do? I get this all the time. So I was like, we need to talk about this. I like I said, it just takes time for me, it took time for me to just own it. You know, like, I don't have to fit into whatever everybody's box is. Like, I am Puerto Rican. My dad's from Puerto Rico. I grew up in the culture. I grew up dancing to salsa music. I know how to make, you know, arroz con gandules, like all of that. It is what it is. You know, you can accept me or don't, but that's who I am. It's the same thing on the other side when people say, well, you're not Black. Like, well, yes, I am. Like, my mom is Black, and, you know, I don't know what to tell you. You just have to own who you are, and don't let people tell you different.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys have something else or other experiences.
It looks like Noel has something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I think that this happens a lot more than we think, right? It's essentially another way to say, how do we stop being racist ourselves? And how do we stop not loving one another when we, our own people, can't even understand, one, history, and then two, the entire world and where it's going today and what has happened. So there's this conflict for me always between trying to educate people from the island, for example, Dominican Republic. Like, you kidding me? You share the same island with Haiti. They're on the same island. And there's so many people that I've met, even my own family members, who were just like, oh, don't go hang out with Haitians and things of that nature. And I'm just like, that makes no sense. Like, we literally look alike. And then those same people don't understand how, and they like to say, I'm not Black, right? And that's okay, because people don't understand what that means in America unless you've been here and living in the US and going through what we're going through in the US right now. But again, it is education. So if you have anyone come to the US, right, dark-skinned Latino, and have them sit here, and I guarantee you they're going to be profiled the same exact way as a Black person would be in America. No cop ever stopped to say, wait, that person is Dominican, right? Or that person is Mexican, or that person is this. They're just Black. So like, that's one thing I think that gets lost into all of this. So for me, it's like, you have to educate, you have to continue to talk to your grandparents, right? Your parents, a lot of the people with that old school mentality, and realize that this new younger generation that's coming in, the millennials and Gen X and everyone together, like, we are more diverse now, and we look a lot different than years and years past. We're going to be a bunch of mixed people going up in the future, and that's enough said.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It is what it is. And we have to stop being this racism within our own organizations and our own cultures. You have to just, if you have somebody who looks like you, I'm embracing you. Like, hey, awesome. Like, let's be on your team. I want to support you. What can I do to help move you forward? And that really speaks to the people who are on this panel, because I think I've met you guys, a couple weeks ago. And these are like some of the most awesome people I've ever met. Like, even just being in Techqueria for like a couple months. I've already spoken on 2 panels. I mean, the professionalism that I've dealt with within the organization, the opportunities that are there are bigger than even my own company or anything I've had in my career. And I'm not even in California. I'm all the way in Ohio. So, you know, that just speaks to how powerful it is when we all come together and just work for the greater good of ourselves.
Definitely, Rachel. I love those 2 points that you guys made, that you all made. From one part, actually talking to your family about it, you know, start somewhere. I when I hear those comments, no, you're too negrito, and it's beautiful. And so what? He was born that way. So who cares? Oh, because your hair is too messy, too curly. It is my hair. At least I have hair. I grow it myself. I love it. You know, like,
at least I have hair.
Yeah, at least I have it. Some people, unfortunately, don't have the same luck. I'm lucky. I have hair and I like it. So start with your family, start with your friends, start like that, owning yourself, embracing yourself, accepting and loving yourself. And from the other part, Rachel, you were talking about it, and it made me think of, like, yeah, even Techqueria is a great organization, great place to meet other people just like you that has been through the same hurdles or the same background and the same lack of opportunities than you. So it's a great place to empower each other. If you know your company is looking for a product manager, come to Techqueria. Look for people here. We need more of people. So we gonna do what Noel is experiencing and feeling, see more people just like us when we want to interview. When we look at who is the president of XYZ company, Mario Lopez or Maria Lopez or whatever that is, right? So that's my dream. That's what I would love to see for our future generation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one more thing, it will be like, how can you be unapologetically you? And I'm talking to Rachel, I'm talking to Angie, to Noel, and to the people on the chat. How can you be unapologetically you? Angie?
Go ahead, Angie. Yeah.
I just love being unapologetically myself. So honestly, just always be true to yourself and do you, boo. I always tell this to everybody, just do you, boo. There's honestly no one in this world who is like you. Yeah, you might come across some people who might have similar experiences or might even have almost identical interests, but they're not you. We're all unique in our own ways. So once you find that, you got to claim it. You got to own it to the fullest. You are your personal brand. And so you just got to build it out with authenticity. Obviously, you know, you might come across some haters sleeping on that haterade, but honestly, who cares? You just got to do your, just be yourself and just do you.
Thank you, Angie. Perhaps Noel?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the same thing Angie talked about of staying true to yourself, and how you can actually do that within society, within the workforce, and all that is by being present, being the loudest person in the room, right? Never apologizing for what you look like or what you bring to the table. Get in front of those people who are agitated and seem pissed off by your presence, right? Like those are the people you want to sit right next to and smile with them and be friends, and so much more. So it's really something where it's a long-term process where you just need to never, ever, ever apologize for being who you are or where you come from. Be proud, right? Be proud to say it. Be proud to speak it, and then execute it.
Definitely. Thank you. Rachel?
So I want to point out that this is all easier said than done, right? So, you know, we can all sit up here and be like, just be yourself. And you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? You know, being yourself is hard. Not that like you're faking it or anything like that, but you hear things, people say things like advice, like, if you don't know something, fake it till you make it, or, you know, stuff like that. To be unapologetic means that you have to just own what is you. So I know that I'm loud, or I'm, you know, I'm a natural born leader. So sometimes I come off with a takeover spirit, you know, things like that. Like that's who I am, and I just own it. And if I feel myself, you know, getting into there, I'm not going to apologize for it, but I'm going to be like, hey, I realize that I'm doing this. You know, how can we move forward or work through this? You know, just be yourself. And then I think someone, Jihad, in the comments mentioned something else that I wanted to talk about, which is just branding yourself. You know, when you start to build your personal brand, you're going to start to, you have to take the time to research who you are, right? So in building your brand, you're going to learn more about yourself, and it's going to be easier for you to be able to do that.
Exactly, 100%. You have to look within yourself. And for some people like me, that when I started exploring myself, I was afraid of change. I was afraid of letting go of what I thought or what I was taught for many years, and get into the uncertainty and be recognized as one thing when, I mean, I see myself as an Afro-Latinx, but people who looks at me in the back, if I am all covered, they will look at my hair and see, oh, she's black. And then I turn around and they see me and it's like, she's not black. You know, let's not get into definitions right now, what I am or what I'm not. But what I'm saying is coming from being Latin American white when I used to relax my hair, to passing to being Afro-Latinx and me, like authentically me, it was a little afraid, you know. But I just explore. I just started trying. I just started wearing my headbands because I like them. Not because it represents anything. It's just because I like it. When I have a bad hair day, I just put a head wrap and I'm done. And I love it. I love the different styles that I can do. So I started with that, I started exploring. And you can do it too, like explore yourself however is that is. And maybe you want to use big earrings or small earrings. I don't know, what dressing in a less business casual day when you can, because sometimes we need to dress up, but like explore. What I'm saying is explore different things that make you feel comfortable and go from there. Like that will be a really good place to try different things and see who you like what do you like, and then who you are. That was what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to know, we have 3 more minutes before I think we might get kicked out.
Questions for the public. Do we have any questions? The what are you looks my favorite look people give you. Yeah, I know. Like, what are you? Like, yeah, some people are, what are you? A person? Human? Yes. Let's see. Do you have any questions?
Add me on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah, drop the link down low. Or drop
I would just love to connect with everybody here. Even if it's in the future, hopefully we can get together, or just even also maybe have like another virtual event. I would just love that.
Yes. Yeah, we are definitely planning. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about it, but we're planning some events around Afro-Latinx, I believe, in partnership with Techqueria.
Yeah. So we have
so up and coming.
Felipe, he wrote, what do you think is the best way for non-Black Latinx to show up for our community in this historical moment?
That's a heavy question. We only got 2 minutes.
Okay, I have the answer. I have an answer for that. I truly believe mixed babies are going to save the world. So please, if you have a white, blue, pink woman, man, anything that in the between that says, no, I only like my same color, and marry her or marry her kid or whatever, and you have a mixed baby, and they will be like, oh yeah, so cute. We're gonna end racism. We're gonna save the world. We are 2 or more words in one, and we are gonna definitely save it. So that's what I'm saying. Reproduce, mix and reproduce. That's how we're gonna save the world.
Yeah, I love what Noel said. He said support small minority businesses. Yeah, take care of your community. Take care of each other. Don't be that person in the workplace. If somebody's being controversial and if they're wrong, say they're wrong. But if they're being controversial and they're right, don't be afraid to support them. Because think about how much courage it takes to be that person to speak up.
Yeah, and network. We have a feature for networking right here in the right side in the left side of the screen. Hit it up, network, mingle, empower each other, connect in Techqueria, be a member, and then join us on Slack.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys. I love
it.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Applause to everyone here.